Kimbo, Kimbo, we lift up your name. Natatan Zambia, Mazulu. Kimbo, Kimbo, we lift up your name. Natatan Zambia, Mazulu. Hey, Kimbo, Kimbo, we lift up your name. Natatan Zambia, Mazulu. Hey, Kimbo, Kimbo, we lift up your name. Natatan Zambia, Mazulu. Kimbo, Kimbo, we lift up your name.
You see me, family. Away. Thank you for joining us. And English first day with hang on. Kembo Kembo Kwanzambi, Yamazulu, Ampungu Tolendo. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you for joining us today. We have a great presentation for you. It's packed with a lot of information. We'll be talking about electromagnetic fields or EMFs. We're going to talk about the dangers of EMFs, how to protect yourself. And today we have a guest. His name is Nganga Kisiluka. He's a medical doctor, and he has a very strong passion for traditional medicine, and healthy eating, health and well-being. Yeah, so feel free to leave us a comment. Just enjoy the presentation and give us the opening prayer if you will.
So, Kimbo, Matundo, Tata and Zambi and Pungo Tulendo for giving us this opportunity to share this vital information. We appreciate you. We exalt you. We say tonda to you for all the great things you and mighty things you have done for us this far, bringing us all together, bringing us from the four corners to allow Congo to reign. Matano Masaka for Nsanga Kiki and the rest of the Beulah family. We matunda you so much, Tata and Zambi. And once again, we appreciate you for this time that you allow us to show the truth, to show Congo. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Thank you for that. And so with that, we're going to start the presentation. Share two slides.
So the title of this presentation is Beware of EMFs. All right. So this is from the Beulah Wellbeing Group, Matundo to the Mwanda and Simi. Hallelujah. So first thing, what is EMF? So basically EMF stands for the electromagnetic field. And it comes from both natural and man-made sources. And it's basically a physical field produced by electrically charged objects. As you can see by the name, electro and magnetic. So it contains both electricity and also magnetic properties. And this picture here is just the whole physics thing of electromagnetic wave, which you can look at later. That's the least of our concerns right now. All right. So just a little more. I know some people can be aware of the spectrum of EMFs. So starting off from the left, you see that we have the extremely low frequencies, and that can just come from just the power lines. And then you have the very low frequency, which can come from a laptop. And then we move on the the radio waves. And then you also have the microwaves, and then the infrared, then the visible light. And then now when you start crossing over to the ultraviolet X-rays and gamma rays, that's what we have been known to be the ionizing radiation, the radiation that where they always try to warn us about, where this can be dangerous. Right. So I just want to let it be known that, where it comes from, visible light and infrared light, they are important for human health. All right. But what we really need to review is about radiation in general. So what was previously known previously known dangers were ionizing radiation. Um, Aforementioned, this is where, X-rays. This is why they always try to shield individuals when you go to the hospital for X-rays. The thing about that when it comes to ionized radiation is that it can damage the DNA, and it can also produce free radicals. So from what we've known in the past is that non-ionizing radiation was always considered to be safe. So there was little to no concerns. That's why we have the microwaves in our house. That's why we have the radios, and we use these certain objects like the laptop, and we have power lines all around our houses and cell towers. So these things have we've been educated for many years that these things are not harmful. Um, but let's see what the recent studies show.
Absolutely.
So just going a little bit into what EMFs do at the cellular level. So basically, from looking at this image here, um, when it comes to electricity in the body, the main parts that has a lot of electricity going on is your brain and your heart. And this is mainly because they have these calcium channels, which EMF tends to force to release more calcium ions. By releasing more calcium ions, this also leads to free radicals forming, and free radicals can cause DNA damage, as you can see here. And when you're causing the constant damage of DNA, this is causing the cells needing to repair the DNA. And if there's any type of error that goes on during that process, then it could lead to cancer. Mm-hmm. And you see the difficulty concentrating. That's going to be ADHD there.
Mm-hmm.
That's ADHD. They can't concentrate. And in poor memory, that's going to go into anything that's just dealing with especially with the older people.
Yeah.
There. It's a slow death. It's a slow death.
Yeah.
I just gotta say, hey, we're X Men and women, in the Bible,
Yeah.
and in Exodus chapter 1, um, it wrote that Pharaoh just they hated us. They gave us more work to try to hurt us, and then
Mm-hmm.
they noticed that the more work they gave us, the stronger we got. We still was able to do what we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that he had to end up just saying, "Yo, kill any male child." Told the midwives, if the lady, if it's a son that's born, kill the son. So
Oh,
I'm just saying is that, hey, we're the ex men and women. We gonna survive. We gonna
yes, they're still
survive.
doing that till today. Finding ways to decimate our numbers, vaccines and everything, and Planned Parenthood, all this rubbish. All of that will come to an end soon. So,
Yeah, because
well,
with our Bantu spirituality, they can't touch us. We
no.
protected by Tata and Zombie. Protected. That scripture says, "What can man do to me? Man can't do nothing." Hebrews chapter 13.
Yeah.
Man can't do anything to me. Just say, yes, the brain and the heart, they have the most electrical activity. And it's actually right there at the bottom of the slide. It says that the brain cells and the heart cells,
Wow. Yeah,
they're
that's
the most affected by EMF.
did that earlier. So it's sad. I mean, there are other things too. There's cataract, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but in a different location of the eye than typical cataracts.
Ah,
When it's attributed to EMFs. Mm-hmm.
that's very deep. Cause then, cause that just shows that it shows clear as day. Nope, this is from EMF.
From it,
This is from
it's
EMF.
different.
Another thing to see here, is that when it comes to the electromagnetic field, there is a chance as well that it can lead to an abnormal release of neurotransmitters and hormones, which can lead to neuropsychiatric issues such as anxiety, disruption of sleep, headaches, fatigue, and poor memory. You know, just to name a few things.
Quite a few things there.
Yeah, so quite a few things. Quite a few things.
There was also something that I was going to mention, that there's another way of categorizing EMFs. They have pulsed and non-pulsed. I don't know if you came across that. The pulsed ones is
Mhm.
alternating current, AC current, that
Mhm.
produces pulsed EMFs, and the non-pulsed is DC, so just like constant.
Mhm.
Our body is designed to work with DC current, so that's what you find in nature. The lightning, the thunder, all the things that happens in nature is DC current. But for some reason, we use AC current, which is actually what is very damaging, because it's pulse. It's been linked to like heart attacks, cerebral
Mhm.
accidents, and all kinds of things.
Mhm. And then just the light bulb went off because when you said like heart attacks and stuff like that, I also think that the heart it's electricity going in. The whole body deals with electrons and all that. Like you're saying, the direct current. It just makes so much sense to think that you're running something with pulses and that alternate the current. So now you're playing with the electrical field of the body. You're messing with it. You're messing with it, and so you're messing with the cellular function that's going on when we think of it from a microscopic level. The heart, in order to conduct, the heart has to, in order for it to even do any type of rhythms, it's an electrical system. So when you're doing anything to try to throw off that current, like that's bad. It's bad.
It
It's
is a very, yeah. So well,
that's why when you say with the brain too, you're messing with the function of the brain, because the brain is it's electrical. It's all
yeah,
electrical.
it's
It's all electrical.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the top sources, well, there are quite a few too. So of the top sources of EMFs, you see, you have your cell phones, your laptops, your tablets, your Wi-Fi routers. Big source is that one. The cordless phones, microwave ovens, Bluetooth devices, your AirPods, your Alexa Echo devices, smart TVs. Did I mention microwave ovens? They're a big source of that. And smart, your electric, gas, water meters. They're all, big sources of that.
pretty
Um,
much, pretty much everything.
yeah, anything, like even your fridge, your refrigerator is not wireless, but it puts out quite a bit of EMF. Many people don't know that. So if you're sleeping with a fridge in your room, it's not a good idea.
Okay.
You know,
That's why people say, "Yeah, I got a smart house." Smart house.
no,
Yeah, really
actually
got a dumb house.
a killer
Really
house.
got a dumb house. Killer house. Yeah.
It's
Loud.
a smart house. Yeah, Alexa, all those things, Google Home, thermostats, digital assistants, all those things. They are invading your privacy and listening to you and killing you slowly. So they're not the
Mhm.
ones getting the end. Um,
What I'm thinking is now is that I'm just going to unplug them.
yeah,
Plug them, yeah, and just use when I use them, but keep them unplugged. I'm telling you, Titan Zombie is showing us something because that stuff there is messing with our X gene. Mm-hmm.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And then dirty electricity. We have in nature, we have DC current. And then the kind of electricity we use in our home uses AC current. So what's happening is that AC currents are not good for us, but DC currents is what is found in nature. It's what our body is used to. But unfortunately, our power grids actually use AC current. So what's happening is that when there is the electricity is supplied from the grid and it gets into our homes, there's a point at which there's a switch or like a conversion when it's transformed from one voltage to another, or it's switching from let's see, from AC to DC current, because there's that exchange going on. It produces dirty electricity, which is a very big source of EMFs. Examples of that, like your compact fluorescent bulbs, your computers, the monitors, TVs, um, even cell phone towers, your solar panels, big ones, your solar panels, your printers, your LED lights, your dimmer switches, your cell phone chargers, your smart meters, solar panel inverters, um, cell towers, which I think I mentioned already, so your smart appliances, your Wi-Fi routers. I mean, most appliances in your home is giving off some kind of dirty electricity. So that just makes things
Basically everything, especially the things
everything.
that are
Yeah,
wireless.
I think it's only if you have battery powered things that is DC, I believe. So your battery powered, then that's where you're safer. You know.
So we're speaking a lot about what was considered to be what is the non-ionizing radiation. What we mentioned before, that this radiation was considered not to be harmful at all. But um, the question comes about, does cell phone cause cancer? Well, the WHO, the World Health Organization, in 2011, they actually had 31 scientists who came from 14 different countries, and they met up in France, and they basically reviewed. A, they had a list of studies that they reviewed, and what they found was that EMF can possibly be carcinogenic, and based on and what they figured out was that from the study, that they were finding people were having a increased incident of gliomas, which is basically a malignant type of cancer that forms in the brain. And they did notice an association with the wireless phone use. And they had one study in particular that showed a 40% increased risk for gliomas. And this was basically showing that heavy users who were using a phone for at least 30 minutes per day in a 10-year span were the ones to be more at risk. This kind of makes you feel like, cigarette smoking, the heavy users, also the heavy users with the cell phone. All right. Um, so basically, based on their findings, they recommended to that, let's keep a close watch. And they also recommended to limit the usage of a cell phone. All right. This is very important information. Um, we should not take this lightly at all by them just saying possibly.
Mhm.
That is a very strong word in the fact of mentioning it being carcinogenic.
It's
So
telling
that,
you to know that it is. They just don't want to tell you that it is. That's all.
yes, yes, correct. So just to go to a more recent study in 2018, a U.S. Toxicology, they found clear evidence, clear evidence with with cell phone use and it being carcinogenic. These studies were done on mice, and they saw basically they saw an increased rate in cancer. This was also including cancers forming in the heart and also in the brain. As previously mentioned, we said that these are the two areas of the body that has like the most electricity conduction going on. All right.
Yep, absolutely.
So just to we're visual, so we just want you guys to see this from a visual standpoint. So you have this image here on the left before this before this woman before she had a cell phone placed to her left ear. um, and you notice after just having the cell phone on her ear for 15 minutes, you see this red area is just showing that there was heat waves being sent in that area, which irritates those cells in that area. All right. So this is where you kind of see the mechanism of how those cells can start being altered, as we've seen from the previous studies, that can possibly be carcinogenic. Something very important with this slide here is that what we're looking at is in reference to age here. And when it comes to a 5-year-old, and we're saying basically that they're using the cell phone for the same amount of time, but being that you have a pediatric individual, their their cells are more sensitive, right? Because they're more in the growth stage. So that cell phone radiation is more harmful. As you can see here, you're seeing an increased amount of absorption in a 5-year-old in comparison to a 10-year-old and an adult. So just keep that in mind when it comes to uh, having children using cell phones. All right, that's something that by this evidence that we should not take lightly. And I would also say that if it was up to me, I would not allow any children to put any cell phones next to their ear.
Yeah, and a lot of them end up, they use it as a like a distraction. Even when you say next to the ear, I believe that just in 1 foot, I believe you're still receiving some radiation, even at 1 foot away from you. It's still, so for children that are playing on these things, they use it as some kind of a pacifier, give it to them to, they might not be holding it to their ear, but it's still blasting them with radiation, playing with that thing all day. I personally, I'd say just keep these things away from the children. But I think for some parents, it's very convenient. They're busy, so they want to keep the children busy and they use that, But at the end of the day, it's causing damage to that child's development, his brain, and so many things. And so many of them with so many. We're going to see the problems now associated soon. Some of the health problems, that we're going to come to that. But this is very disturbing when you're seeing this kind of images.
Yeah, it is. I strongly agree with that. And when you were speaking, it reminded me about the tablets as well. There's these Bluetooth devices, and we also read about the baby monitors. Those things emit off what we thought was not to be harmful, but what we're finding out now that non-ionizing radiation is actually harmful.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I don't know if I mentioned that in my the baby monitors.
No,
Oh
that's
goodness.
why I just remembered it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we got to throw that one out there."
Oh yeah. I am just looking at it now, and yeah, baby monitors, hearing aids, yeah, just speakers, just your wireless speakers, your gaming consoles, your controllers, yeah, obviously the Echo and Alexa enabled devices, any smart device, even those smart suitcases. I don't know why anybody has a smart suitcase, but apparently they exist. They will also, blast you with EMFs. All the new TVs, just most of these new TVs, all of them, they all have it. Um, yeah, that's a few fitness trackers, keyboards, wireless mouses, the wireless printer, anything wireless, it's bad in that sense. So yeah, we'll just take note of those.
All right. So as you can see from this slide, there's a plethora of health conditions that are believed to be caused by the EMFs. In particular, to be specific, we're talking about the non-ionizing radiation, because as we've known for many years what the ionizing radiation done. So aforementioned, we spoke about pediatrics being at high risk because how sensitive their cells are as they are going through the growth process. thing to mention is infertility, and that is something that's been noticed in both men and women. And when we speak about the men, there's something that's very important because it's the cell phone. It's where do you put the cell phone at? We're used to putting those cell phones in our pockets, which are next to the testes, next to the gonads, next to these sensitive organs, and with they're starting to see an association with individuals who have their cell phones in those areas and are finding out that this could be the cause of their infertility. When it also comes to the mental health issues, that's what we was talking about. Um, you get the free radicals. EMF can cause the release of the neurotransmitters, which can be harmful. We also there's been multiple studies showing a link to showing association with EMF to leukemia in children. There's also the cancers, brain, which we spoke about with the gliomas. Now here comes the breast. Now there have been multiple studies where they're showing that when a woman is tucking a cell phone in her bra, and in that particular area, they have found tumor cells, and multiple studies on this, multiple studies, and also skin, of course. If you're getting a constant amount of radiation, whether on a cell phone in a particular area or some other of the EMF, some other of the things from the spectrum, as well. Heart disease, as we mentioned before, the heart has a lot of calcium channels in there, and that causes a irregular function with when it's being exposed to EMFs. There's also the memory issues, which we spoke about with the whole releasing of the neurotransmitters and sleep disorders. One thing that is common is tinnitus, where individuals they're complaining of ringing of the ears. And in the hospital, I've had a few people that come in complaining of tinnitus, and EMF can possibly be the cause of these symptoms. Um, One thing that I remember watching was that there was people that would say that they would have like these headaches, and could not like get rid of the headaches no matter what they tried. They went to the doctor, this and that, and they may even have like some little nerve symptoms where they have a little numbness and tingling, and they couldn't figure out what was the cause. And then finally, like they're googling, then they're putting their symptoms, and they're seeing people saying they having similar symptoms as well.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, mine was caused by I checked how many towers I had in my area. And from seeing how many towers they had in their area, they were like, that's it.
That's
And
exactly.
a couple, they ended up moving out of the city and moved in a more rural area, and they're like, the symptoms are gone. I watched a few YouTube videos where individuals they were having symptoms like the tinnitus, and they figured out that there were just so many cell towers in the area, and so they just when they moved from the big city area and to a more rural location, that they started to notice that their symptoms resolved. And as you see, we have our image here to the side where we're basically giving examples of neurologic effects, such as the brain tumors, Alzheimer's, cognitive impairment, sleep disturbances. Yes.
Yeah.
Sister Kiki, I know you want to mention something about the sleep disturbance too, right?
Yeah. For this one, I know that their clients, like you have these EMF experts, there are people you can hire to kind of, give you like a diagnosis of what's going on in your home. And they some of them have reported that, when they turn off like their breakers at night, they notice that there's a more significant improvement in health, in more energy, there's more vitality, better mental clarity, and then they report also dreaming again. So I mean, that really has the capability to interrupt your dreaming, which for many of us is very important that we remember
Very
our dreams that we dream. So that's definitely one of the things. And I don't know if we mentioned anything about plants and animals, the fact that it actually causes damage to plants. You know, first we mentioned that also that there's a general flow of calcium, into the cell and out of the cell, in our bodies. EMS interferes with that. It actually disrupts the flow of calcium. So it just means that with EMFs, you're not functioning the way you're supposed to. It's interrupting things going on at your cellular level. And also with they did some studies and found that it causes cell damage to even in bees exposed to mobile phones. They started to they started to emit like distress signals, when they were exposed to those mobile phone EMFs. And also there was a decline in the colony strength. The queen laid fewer eggs, and the colony didn't have any pollen or honey in it at the end of the experiment. So they just fertility went to zero. Nothing was going on. It caused them to be infertile. Fruit flies, there were like detrimental effects on reproduction and programmed cell death. So it just like it causes the body to just shutting down this insect. So you can imagine what it's doing to us.
right.
So plants as well, they experience oxidative stress and DNA damage, similar to what humans and animals experience. So yeah, it's a pretty serious problem. And we are at this stage, we're mostly at 4G. I can't even imagine what's going to happen in 5G. It's introduced already, but it's not like fully, not yet.
Right, right. That's why we're saying be aware.
Be
Be,
aware. Be
be
aware.
aware. So just a few more things with the radiation exposure. Um, as you can see here, it's basically stating that it can cause stress, fatigue again, brain fog, and headaches. So if you're having an unexplained headache, and then you notice that you go on a road trip now, and the headache is gone when you're out in the desert or something like that, or you're in a rural area, and the headache is gone,
Yeah,
then you kind of have an inclination to what is possibly causing the headaches. So the verse that came to mind for us while doing this study is Matthew chapter 15, verse 11. He that has ears, let him hear.
absolutely.
Beware
Where
of EMFs. So, FYI, for your information, to my surprise, I can come out and say that I was unaware that when it comes to our cellular providers, when in the manual that they give us, the user's manual, they actually have this in there right here that says keep your phone at least 5 millimeters away from your body while making
5 millimeters
calls.
is not a lot. That is not a lot. I think five, even at that time, that distance is still dangerous. I think even at a feet, if one foot away from you is still dangerous. The further you can put it, the better, in my opinion, anyway.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And when it comes down to it, and go to the company's website. That's what I ended up doing. I went to my cellular provider website, and this is what actually they had on there. They said to reduce exposure to radio frequency energy, use a hands-free option, such as the built-in speakerphone.
Mm-hmm.
The supplied headphones, which we know are
I heard.
wired,
Yes.
not Bluetooth, or other similar devices. So it's pretty apparent that they're aware of what this what the radio frequency can do to us. All right. So, it's important. I know I don't do it. I know the majority of us don't do it to go through these user manuals because there's a little something in the fine print that they put on there that we need to be aware of. And that's why, once again, this is the reason why we are doing this presentation. Beware of EMFs.
One thing I want to mention, because it's becoming very common in our society, is this is really the mental effects of EMFs. Depression. It's been linked to depression, social anxiety, sleeplessness, and hostility, headaches, like which we've already mentioned. Tiredness, lack of concentration, problems with attention, cognitive dysfunction, memory changes, restlessness, anxiety, stress, agitation, feeling of discomfort, irritability. People experience this thing and they have no idea it's all within inside the home that they live. It's being produced by this, dangerous, invisible energies that you cannot see, you know. So it's good that people are aware of these things. Um, in women, I know you mentioned infertility. In women, you said it actually causes reduced progesterone levels and significant disruption in their menstrual cycles, including heavy bleeding. So this is the kind of onslaught that we face at home every day. Even with men, you have to be careful, like you said, about keeping it in your pocket, keeping it next to the genitals, because it will have an impact too on reproductive health. So those are some of the things I just wanted to mention, put that in there, because emphasize what this thing really does.
You,
So
you know, you know what I just, Matundo to the Mwanda and Simi, because what I just got from what you just said is the tinnitus. The tinnitus. If I have the Bluetooth earpieces on, right, that EMF is going into the ear canal, and that can possibly be the cause of the irritation that we experience in the ear canal that's leading to that symptom of tinnitus, of the ringing of the ears.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Within the home, if you're still using a microwave oven, it's time to get rid of it. Uh, do not use it. I know there's something you mentioned the last time we spoke. You said it's not about putting the food in there and running away, and it apparently it spreads up to 100 feet away. The EMF from microwaves will extend 100 feet, so it doesn't matter about running anywhere. It will still you catch some of it.
This is where it's going to be important for us to mention that the microwave affects the food. So imagine what the microwave is doing to the food that you're about to eat. If you could avoid using a microwave, then go ahead. I mean, people with microwaves were just invented in the 1980s or 1990s. So for thousands of years, we were surviving without a microwave. That's
Exactly.
why now I happily go use my skillet or electric those little heating things or whatever, and then I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
not.
absolutely. I mean, in fact, here the sun is so hot during the day. When I have like food that I need to heat up, I just put it out in the sun. In 15 minutes, it's hot. Yes, we're getting like 110 degrees of sunshine. So I'm like, might as well use it. At least there's some nice energy in there, just heat up
Yeah,
the food nicely.
that's it.
DC
And be,
current.
and be done with it. Be done. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I got it. So we're just going to review on ways to protect yourself, and we'll start off with the home. So number one thing is that avoid unnecessary exposure to EMFs. So basically, if you can, try to eliminate your Bluetooth devices. If you have a Wi-Fi, turn it off at night. As Sister Kiki mentioned, when it comes to people had improved sleep when they turned those particular things off on their breaker at night. So next thing is maximize distance between you and the source. If there's certain places that you have a wireless router in, try to put it more in an area where people less frequently go into, just for safety purposes. And then any other thing that you may have in your house we, that we have mentioned that does have a lot of whether dirty electricity or gives off EMFs, you just try to keep distance away from it. The other thing is to decrease the amount of EMF exposure, kind of like something we mentioned before, and also using shielding device, which we will show some in the later slides. Another thing that is very important is check for antennas, check for cell towers in your area. You can basically use this website here, which is called at antennasearch.com. Um, Sad to say, when I searched for my mom's house, there were over 100 towers, and it had a red. It actually had a red letters with exclamation points, which is basically saying, yeah, there's a lot around that area. So
Um,
that's something very important to look at.
yeah,
This could play a very important role if you're even deciding to move somewhere. So before you move,
check that.
just just don't look at the crime. Also look at the EMF at the antennas in that area, and
Exactly.
to see which way these antennas point and everything. And another thing that you can do is you can purchase an EMF reader device, which we've seen is available on Amazon. As you can see, this is what one of the EMF devices look like right here. And to our surprise, I mean, where we are not surprised, look where he's reading at on a microwave oven. As sister as Sister Kiki mentioned, this is one of the highest sources of EMF in your home.
Mhm. It
Right.
is. Yeah, so I'm just going to add a little bit to what you've already said, about protecting yourself. Um, one thing that has been mentioned is about your eating habits. We know that EMFs it causes a lot of oxidative stress and damage to your cells. So if you have good eating habits, then you could protect yourself better. For example, before you go to bed, you try to eat like 3 to 4 hours before going to sleep. That helps your body maintain better antioxidant levels and less oxidative damage from free radicals. So, avoid eating large meals close to bedtime. Give yourself enough time to digest your food before bed. Also, you can practice intermittent fasting, which is another good way to your body keep your body healthy and strong. People, it's a way of eating maybe in a 6 hour window, 6 to 8 hours in a day, like between, let's for example say eating only between 12 and 6 p.m. or between 12 and 8 p.m. But it's just a way of it's very good for your digestive system and for your immune system as well, because it allows your body to rest in between the eating period till the next day, something like that. Also, get good sleep. Adequate sleep is important. But however, if you have too many EMFs in your home, it can also, interfere with your sleeping patterns.
Right.
Uh, Good exercise regularly. There's high intensity exercises. Those are very good. Get adequate sunshine. I mean, especially for us dark skinned people, the sun is like power for us. The sun is our friend. It makes us very strong. Some people say, "Oh, I don't want to be darker." That's nonsense. You need the sun. You know, get Go out there and get the sun. It strengthens us. I don't know how, I can't emphasize that a lot enough. And then they eat B3 rich foods like, alkaline grains, lots of fruits, vegetables, take care of your diet, take a hold of your diet, eat the right things. Irish moss, seek help, eat those things. They're great. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. Obviously, avoid processed foods. Um, Limit your exposure by sleeping in a low EMF bedroom. We'll talk a little bit about how to do that. Okay, hardwired connections. Now that's another thing. In your home, as much as possible, use hardwired connections for things that you use that are wireless. For example, if you can connect your laptop with a Ethernet cable to your router, that will eliminate EMFs mostly. And then your mouse, use a wired mouse if you can, and also use grounded Ethernet cables. They have metal ends. They're much better. They don't leak a lot of EMFs like others. And put your phone on airplane mode as often as you can. If it's not in use or something. And you can use shielding cloths, wire mesh boxes, to cover sources of EMFs. It doesn't eliminate it, but it will reduce it a lot. And put routers far away from your bedrooms or anywhere where people spend a lot of time. Make sure your appliances use grounded AC power cords. Those are the ones that have 3 prongs instead of 2. Avoid any two-pronged plugs if you can. Use the ones with the grounded outlets. Yeah, like your Mac laptop, it comes with this square. The cable for the laptop, it comes with that square box that you plug into the wall. You can just remove that with the 2 prongs and then attach another cable to it that allows you to use a 3-pronged outlet. Basically transform most of your devices into to use a 3-pronged plug instead of 2-pronged. Okay, your phone, keep it, like he said, like brother Luke has said, keep it far away from you. Those women who put their phones on their breast, what they said was that the cancers that developed in a place that is not usual for breast cancer. It was right on the spot where the phone was. So that's a clear indication of what is causing that, And then also there's some of these people that sell these things, they call them harmonizers. They tell you, if you put your phone in it, it will reduce the EMFs. Those are marketing scams. It doesn't really do anything. Anything that tries to stop the phone from putting out that emission would only cause the phone to put out more because it's trying its hardest to try and get to that tower, right? Avoid using your phone in your car because when it's in motion, it works harder to stay in communication with the cell tower. So it's emitting more radiation. And then avoid sleeping with your phone under your pillow or in your bedroom. If it's in your bedroom, put it in airplane mode. Also use a Faraday bag if you can. I have one of these. I'm just going to show us. I don't know if this shows. Yeah, this is this is a Faraday bag. You put your cell phone in there and it stops it from emitting EMFs. They're quite affordable. You can get them on Amazon. This one was probably like $8 or something. And you can get multiple ones: one for your tablet, one for your laptop, one for your phone, or as many as you need. Even your car keys. Apparently, they emit EMFs too because they're trying to communicate with your car. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So you can put that in a small, they have smaller bags for your keys and everything. So those are things to also keep in mind. Faraday bags, very highly recommended. Avoid using your phone as an alarm clock. I know some people use it to wake up in the morning, or you can get one of those clocks that use battery or something, that's avoid wireless chargers. Like you said, anything wireless, avoid.
And then the other key thing is
Yes.
the microwave. You see this right here? This is for everyone to understand. Please ditch the microwave. We have not been using microwave for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
We realized from just food,
Mm-hmm.
how the microwave just destroys the good nutrients of the food. So therefore, when it comes to us to what we were consuming, we are nutritarians. So we want nutrient rich foods. So therefore, we stopped using the microwave for that purpose, and also for the fact of it being such a significant source of EMF in the household. So by all means, once again, be aware of EMF, and we're telling you that we're strongly recommending to to ditch the microwave.
Absolutely, absolutely. They are, yeah, like I said, 100 feet. 100 feet is how far it throws its EMF field. It'll be difficult for you to escape that one whenever you turn it on. Then landlines are great, apparently. Avoid cordless phones. So use traditional landlines, but nobody has those anymore. Everybody's just on their cell phones all the time. But the landlines are actually better. Remove all fluorescent bulbs and fixtures. They're horrible. Dirty electricity is what they produce. And those flickering bulbs, some people have headaches, just general malaise from those things in the home. Um, Avoid all those dimmer switches. They're terrible. And then smart LED, anything smart, avoid. Smart LED lights, avoid those. And opt out of the Internet of Things. This is the one that's going to connect everything in your home, your car, your fridge, your everything to the internet. Digital assistants, all those things, get rid of them. In the case of avoid wearing metal frame glasses. I think this is something that
Yes.
we take for granted. It actually it attracts those things around your body. Um, Toss out your baby monitor, yeah, major source of radiation. Um, you know, like we said once, a lot of us we grew up, there was no baby monitor. Even till now, many families, they bring up their children without baby monitors. It's not necessary. You can do without it. If you're going to use it, put it far across the room, like far away from your child and from yourself. If you can do without it, better. Yeah. There are places where you can get rid of your smart meter. They will charge you a little extra every month, maybe like $5 or $10 a month, extra to use a regular meter. If it's worth it to you, you get rid of the smart meter and get a regular one without the smartness. Uh, there's also wiring errors is a big source of EMFs. Like you go into your house and some of these experts, they come and look at your house. You can bring them in and they can detect where someone has wired something badly, and it's just like a big source of EMFs. A lot of people find that in their homes. It's probably worth checking it out and fixing it if it exists. Unplug your chargers when it's not being used. Turn off all electricity to your bedroom when you go to bed. Okay. These are devices that you can use a kill switch. It's something that you can put into your electrical box. You can put it in there and attach it just to your bedroom, so that at night you can just press a button and it kills all the electricity going to your bedroom. I think to me that sounds like the best way to get a good night's sleep. Yeah. And then yeah, shielding paint is something that is very good. You can apply shielding paints to the walls, the ceiling, and the floor of the bedroom. If it's properly shielded, if you use that properly, then you won't even need to shut off the electricity at night. But personally, I like the kill switch idea, but I think the shielding paint is better because if it's coming from a tower near your house, it will shield you from there. Yeah, but the kill switch won't do that. So I guess that's one advantage of having a shielded paint. And for pregnant women, they risk miscarrying their babies, and then the babies have a higher risk of asthma, obesity, thyroid problems. So pregnant women would say, limit their exposures to EMFs because it's especially cell phones. I think that's mostly it. I know that there are studies that show that when children, autistic children, when the sources of EMFs were removed from them for a period of time, behavioral patterns changed. They actually saw an improvement in behavior. So we're really, really living in a society that is lying to us about a lot of things, and we're suffering. Our children are suffering, and we have no idea because it's an invisible enemy, that has been introduced into our lives all this time.
That make a person just want to stay in the wilderness.
Exactly. The funny part, you probably feel really different. Like your brain will probably work a little different. Your body will feel different. And I found, so they said when a signal is weak, apparently 10,000 times more EMF radiation is produced when connectivity is low. So when you see you have only one bar, switch that phone off because it's bombarding you with radiation like big time. And you know how it is when you're traveling and you're using your phone and like in the middle of somewhere and your phone is just barely like hanging on.
Right.
Movement makes it even, when you're in motion, there's more EMF radiation produced. So
that is very like whoa. And when you look, there's something very key here at that bottom right. Read what it say about Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi are banned in school in France. Oh, fantastic.
That's like the key. That was the main thing that stuck out to me with this here.
Wow.
Like that just show you something bad. And I said I'm gonna go to double check if they're still like this and why. If it was linked to EMF radiation for a whole country to do that with their schools, because everybody gonna say, oh, we need Wi-Fi, but look what you showed about the Wi-Fi routers. So
exactly.
they know that it's too much. It's too much radiation. What we notice, like on the upright side, we see Alzheimer's, we see Parkinson's. So these are neurological disabilities, just showing how the EMF really affects the brain. It's affecting the brain. What we also notice is the infertility. This is a way of decreasing the world's population. All right. Infertility. When we look down, the WHO organization, not on this one here, but the WHO organization, what they kept speaking on is leukopenia. Like just basically the white cells are getting killed. The white cells are what helps you to fight off infection.
Yeah.
And they're finding that out in the kids, and they're seeing that in the adults as well.
Oh, so those are getting damaged by EMFs.
Yeah,
white blood cells. Wow.
they're getting damaged. So I don't know if you wanted to just speak on just healthy lifestyle.
I'll just mention, the certain foods, say especially B3 rich foods, and alkaline grains, very good. And let me see, what do we have? When we say alkaline grains, we're not talking about wheat. We're talking about things like fonio, quinoa, fonio. In fact, red quinoa, because that white quinoa sometimes it looks starchy. I don't know if they've started to hybridize it, but the red quinoa to me is the best.
You're teaching me something. The red quinoa.
Oh yeah, red quinoa, better. And then there's also other grains like kamut. Kamut is great. Then there's einkorn flour. Einkorn grain is also good. It's a good flour to use. It's an alkaline one of the originals. And some people like spelt. I don't really go too much for spelt because I feel it's been tampered with also to an extent. But you can find original spelt, good for you. If not, I use was this chickpea flour a lot. Chickpea flour, it's the garbanzo bean flour, very good. And also fruits and vegetables, red onions, berries, chamomile tea, apples, grapes, olive oil, oregano, thyme, tomatoes, watermelon, guava, Irish sea moss, kelp, magnesium-rich foods. So the ones I just mentioned are B3 rich foods. So I mean, eat them regularly for a good immune system.
So just speaking more about the food, um, basically having an alkaline type of diet definitely helps you against EMF, specifically when it comes to the world-renowned CMOS
Yeah.
and bladder approved by Dr. Sabi. As you can see here in this fine print, that it actually mentions that the plethora of things that it can do in assist of iron deficiency, dissolving mucus, which we can attest to, improving mental health, reducing, key thing here, reducing the effects of radiation. All right, so this is very imperative. If you haven't tried it, hey, by all means, I'm not your personal doctor, but I'm just saying if I was you, you know, I'm just letting you know that I'm doing it and it's working for me.
Nice,
And
nice.
and
Yeah.
sister Kiki can attest for that as well.
Oh yes, I use these for sure. I don't do multivitamins. The waste of money, and there's just scams, most of them. The body doesn't use most of those things. You take them and you're just flushing your money down the toilet, really. Um, this a combination of Irish moss and bladderwrack. That's the best combination you can find to get all the minerals you need for your body. Um, and and what helps with the radiation is the iodine content. You know, it has high iodine in it, and they do a lot for you. As people who are vegan should, this is you combine, you eat enough mushrooms, you eat enough of moss and bladderwrack. You see Irish sea moss and bladderwrack. Meat you becomes irrelevant in your life. The reason a lot of vegans don't do very well on vegan diet is because they're eating a lot of unnatural food that the body cannot handle and they become sick. So with the Sebi diet, you can be a very healthy vegan without any meat. So it's your choice, really.
And be able to fight off some of the radiation. All
Oh
right.
yeah, definitely. Because when your body is too busy trying to protect itself from junk food, it's like you leave it open. You're weakening it, and so it's open to things like EMFs coming in and causing damage. But when you have like you are on a good alkaline diet and your body is alkaline, like it's in that zone that it's supposed to be, then it can spend all its attention protecting you from what's coming from the outside and not trying to deal with what you are putting on the inside. Something like that.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the body is it runs off electricity.
Mhm.
So we eat the electrical foods. That's what the alkaline diet basically represents. And another thing that is extremely important as well is that by taking in these electrical foods and also antioxidants, which Sister Kiki you mentioned as well, that helps the body against the oxidative stress that it goes through. So we're talking about the blueberries, the strawberries, etc. So fix your diet, um, fix things in your home, find out what cell towers you have around your house. These all things are very important to help you protect yourself against EMF.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And another key benefits, I just have to just throw this out there,
Mhm.
is that it slows the signs of aging and reducing risk of coronary artery disease. All right.
Yes. want to keep looking young, like you're in your teens, and yeah.
So, just for those, as for me, I have not purchased an EMF reader. But one thing that I have done is I have purchased plants. Um, they have multiple articles on plants that do protect against EMF radiation by absorbing it. So some of the plants, just to mention a few, the snake plant, the peace lily, which is also a good oxygen. It also releases a lot of oxygen as well, along with the rubber plants. These are like dual function. They release, they give good oxygen. They release a good amount of oxygen. They also protect you against radiation. And what do you know? The cactus, which
Oh,
requires a little bit of water. The cactus does a great job in absorbing the radiation. So with these type of plants, you would want them around your major sources. You would want them around your Wi-Fi router. If you have dimmers or whatever, so be it. You want to have these plants there for at least that they can absorb their EMFs. And
absolutely.
another thing here is there's been the trend of buying copper bracelets, which we've heard of, that it does absorb a little bit of radiation. There's not an extensive amount of research behind it, but we know that individuals are using it.
Copper, yeah, copper does is good, with absorbing or like blocking EMFs. Maybe it absorbs it and doesn't let it pass through, or it blocks it somehow. Um, but I know that that works best when it's in a mesh, like something that covers a surface area, and like it covers an area. So this just having a single bracelet like this, I'm not sure that it would protect your whole body. I think it will only do small amounts, like you said. So if I was gonna depend on copper to protect me, it would be because I'm wearing clothing or a hat or something, other protective clothing that can cover my body rather than just something on the hand. Um,
I
I
agree.
know the copper bracelets, they have some other health benefits. I don't know much about it, but for EMFs, it would need to be cover a bigger area of the body to be effective. All
So
right.
what's next to come? So we're just gonna say G5, but
Bye.
read and know what we're talking about. But in this space, we know that this is what's new and it's been buzzing around, and basically it's faster than 4G, so it's going to require much more towers and going to require much more satellite. So what does that mean for us? That means that this is going to lead to more exposure to EMF. As a matter of fact, the guards, which stands for Global Union Against Radiation Deployment from Space, this is quote unquote stated, flooding the planet with microwave radiation is a violation of human rights.
Yeah, yeah, that's what they. How many thousands of satellites did they deploy? Thousands. So that's what's behind the Internet of Things, and it's a big source of EMF radiation and dirty electricity in your home. And it looks like it's something that we'll be forced to adopt because we don't. It doesn't look like we have a say in whether we get a 5G tower, right next to our homes or not. They're just gonna do it because they're in bed with the government over money and things like that. So unfortunately, the public is not taking into consideration a lot of these things. Um, yeah, apparently it's going to use a different part of the electromagnetic spectrum
Yes.
than what is already in use. Ah,
Yeah. So that basically means that it's going to higher frequency.
Mhm.
So it's going to a higher region of the electromagnetic field, which means that it's putting more people at danger.
I'm gonna do some reading on which EMF meter to buy. You
Yeah.
know, they sell EMF meters on Amazon, but I need to go buy one. I need to go buy one for real. I need to go buy one. I want to say this from a spiritual level, right? We communicate with Zulu through frequencies. Okay, so um, so when it comes to like Yesaya Congo,
Yes.
when he would connect the most with Tata and Zambi, he would go in the wilderness and he would go up to the mountain. So Massa would do the same thing, and a lot of the great Nabis would do the same thing as well. They would go up to the mountain and in the wilderness. In those areas, there is no this electromagnetic field thing going on outside of nature, right? Now imagine when we are what happens to our communication with Tata and Zombie when we're dealing with all this EMF stuff. It plays a role in it. It plays a
Yes.
role. It does because that's the that's why when you go out in the wilderness, you could connect better with Tata and Zombie. It's a fact. It's a
As it
fact.
is.
So
Yeah.
so there is a spiritual tie to this. And again, the other thing the other thing about this is that we're damaging his temple we're damaging our melanin, which also plays with our connection with him. We're also damaging our pineal gland with this EMF stuff as well, which plays with our third eye with Tata and Zombie. So that's why he's making us present on this. It's a strong tie to Bantu spirituality.
Yeah.
And we literally just got that revelation through the Mwandan Semi.
Wow, that's fantastic. I never thought of it like thought
Mm-hmm.
of it like that. I really did think of it like that. That is very powerful, and I will write that down so that when. Oh, beautiful. That's very strong. Very
Mm-hmm.
strong.
Yeah, it's
It is.
planned.
It is, and I think it's deliberate.
They know what they know what they're
Exactly what
doing.
they're doing. Hmm, that's
Yeah, that's why the wilderness you have there's no issues with the frequency the connectivity with him. You're away from all that stuff, all that stuff.
So this concludes our presentation.
yeah.
Once again, in doing this research, we were surprised by a lot of information that that we saw as far as the relation, the association of cellular phone use with cancer. This thing is not. This is something not to be taken lightly. Like it says in the book of Matthews, if you have an ear, then hear. Um, we love you guys. That's why we took our time to present this information to you.
Absolutely. And just want to mention also that there's a book that we referenced for a lot of this information, and it's a very good book. And what I'll do is I will include the name in the description box. It's a book by Dr. Mercola called EMF. I recommend this book because there's far more information in there that even that we've been able to present here that we would find very useful. Um, so with that, I'll say thank you so much for joining us, Ganga Luca.
And for the record, Nganga means medicine. Kisi means healer, and Luca means Luke the physician. So I'm appointed by the Most High, Tata and Zambi and Pungu Tulendo to do His will,
Yeah,
uh, and Sister Kiki as well.
absolutely. All praises to Datan Zambi. And
Yamazulu.
Zulu.
Kimbo.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on here. And why are you laughing?
Because it does. Hey, it's been a fun time. Been a fun time.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. And I guess I will be talking to you again very soon.
Okay.
Thank you so much. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Damn
We
it.
lift up your
See me,
name.
brother.
Zambia, Mazulu. Kimbo, Kimbo, we lift up your name. Zambia, Mazulu. Hey, Kimbo, Kimbo, we lift up your name. Zambia,